But let's move on and talk about the Supreme Court. The verdict is tomorrow. The Supreme Court will put to rest this matter of the challenge put up against the validity of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as president of the Republic. Let's have a conversation on how this will further deepen our democracy, whichever way the decision goes. Mr. Paul Osei-Kuffour is a senior programs manager with the CDD. He joins us for a conversation. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Mr. Kuffour.
Much, Mama V. Pleasure talking to you. Good morning to all the people watching us this morning.
Great. So various organizations, before John Dramani Mahama took this matter to court, they were urging him to go to court. That's where we resolve issues over the validity of an election, a presidential election. Finally, he went to court. We've seen this matter travel for weeks, and finally there's a verdict tomorrow. Let me ask about the lessons that you think we've learned with regards further deepening our democracy with this court challenge.
Thank you very much, Mama V. First of all, I want to congratulate the parties, especially the NDC, for responding to the public call and really proceeding to the court to get their grievances redressed. First of all, the lessons are in many folds. If you look at the court, you will notice that from the 2013 election petition, this time the trial process or the adjudication process, it's quite hasty, but it still doesn't compromise from our observations of the court proceedings. It doesn't seem to compromise justice in any way. So I think it's quite good so that as a nation, we don't really get ourselves bogged with very long period of trials, which also has implications on the economy in terms of productivity and others. So I think the introduction of the reform, the new CI, has really enhanced the speedy trial of the case. That's one aspect of it. Then if you look at the issue about the NDC trying to request for interlocutories, trying to subpoena the EC chair, trying to open its case. One lesson that you can draw or deduce from the philosophy of the court is that it appears the court is very conservative, and it always like to stick to most of its tried-tested positions on the law, so that they don't open any Pandora box or open the floodgates for the lower courts to find themselves in a position where it can lead to an abuse based on the decision that the Supreme Court has made. So these are some of the lessons that I've picked on the part of the courts. Also, one important thing is about the issue of contempt, where there have been calls that it will help the public good if matters regarding to contempt are codified, so that the public will know how the adjudication process will go. And the citizens will also be quite cautious in terms of what contempt entails and what are the processes as laid out by law. This will enhance transparency and also avoid any possibility of abuse. So this is a part of the courts, but I have also some observations on the part of citizens. Okay. You will see that citizens are also gradually identifying themselves strongly with the court processes. The court has opened itself to the public, and it enhances the transparency. And certainly, if the court performs its works well, it will improve on public trust and confidence in the court. So I think it's a learning opportunity for citizens to understand the court process. Every election, every dispute session, the 2013, we see some cliches, like you and I were not there and all that. But this time around, we are here, interlocutories, subpoena. So it's a learning process for citizens. But most importantly, the election management bodies, that's the EC. One observation or lesson that I think going forward is how to address post-election administrative complaints is equally important. So there may be basic, some mathematical issues, errors, additional issues, computational issues that political parties will want the EC to consider, either before the declaration of the elections or post-declaration. So is there a way that we can regulate that regime so that it can enhance the integrity of our elections? I'm not saying that there is any problem at this stage with it, but I think these observations and lessons that channels of addressing grievances are open up.
Okay.
IPAC is
so I was just going to say on the back of that we haven't had the court give any directives on that. Maybe when we see the consequential orders of the court tomorrow, we will get to see what kind of direction that they're also given going forward. But as it stands now, there hasn't been anything. But I also wanted to ask about, and I'll come back to the citizens, the issue that you raised. But in terms of timing, this has been pretty short. And it's almost like, oh, suddenly we're here. And we wanted a speedy adjudication, and we got one, didn't we?
I think the Supreme Court drew, and not even the Supreme Court, as a country, we drew lessons from the 2013 election petition, and we felt that the 8 months period wasn't quite helpful to the economy and society as well, and even to justice delivery. So lessons drawn on that indicated that we should be able to do something about the length of the trial. And that, I think, informed the 3 months duration that was set for this particular trial. But I think what is good about this is that we have all had the opportunity to observe the trial process. The Supreme Court, in its various unanimous rulings, has given basis for its judgment, has made the trial process quite transparent. There have been opportunities for filing of reviews and all that. So as much as it is within the parameters of the law, I think that nothing much has been compromised.
The issue with citizens also learning. Are we indeed learning? Do we actually understand the processes of the court? Because in recent days, we've seen that the Judicial Service has been worried. Reason it actually asked its lawyers to write generally to the media, even though they were targeting some particular media houses on comments by citizens. So in terms of contempt or scandalizing the court or commentary, have we done better in this particular petition? And we're just doing a quick comparison between this petition and the very first one.
Yes, I think if you compare this petition with 2013, you see some known figures virtually getting themselves as victims of contempt compared to this current petition, where we've not had that number of high-profile cases appearing before the courts. But I think most substantially, the point that I was trying to make was, though it's anecdotal, it's not scientific, but you see that people have been discussing the course issues. Not all the discussions have been quite libelous or seems to criminalize the court. But I think you agree with me that in a much larger context, our society is quite polarized. There are certain actors within the society that they deliberately pursue this kind of agenda just to really make the courts look bad. I think if you look at all the various institutions and actors in the country, I mean, CSOs sometimes have had their own share, the media sometimes get its own share. But personally, I think that the court is an institution that is our last hope. And though I really don't buy strongly into the letter that was issued, but I think we must all do well to really protect the sanctity and the respect of the court.
But what do you make of the mode, how they chose to communicate this time around, not mentioning people and bringing them before the court, but writing a general letter to media houses?
I think I share with those who have already expressed earlier positions on that case, that I think this could have been handled in other ways by the judicial service itself or the judicial secretary, writing the very something brief to the public, just to alert them, create awareness that there is still the possibility of crossing a red line. But the tenor, the content, and the letter itself appear to be something that seems to really silence the media in one way or the other. So personally, I don't think that approach appears to be the best.
Okay, but you've been observing, Mr. Osei-Kuffour, how have we performed? And when I say we, I'm talking about the media.
For the few media houses, in fact, there's proliferation of media houses in the country. We have a number of them, and sometimes it's difficult to really monitor unless you put a project on to monitor and track all media houses, really document issues of hate speech and all that. But for the few that I have really monitored, especially Joy, City, and some of the English-speaking ones, I think I've not had cause to really complain that I have to do most of maybe the prints that sometimes you read a few things online and you think that it's quite strong or it's quite hard. But compared to 2013, I think the media has performed better this time around. The lessons have been learned.
Well, the political parties involved in this matter, even though they're not the ones directly in court, but they've committed to accepting the results that will be delivered tomorrow. And this was, does this help their following, particularly the petitioner? I mean, he could win or lose this matter. Do you think the followers are prepared enough for this verdict?
Yeah, I think it was a good, it was very good, and it's quite laudable for leadership of the various political parties to have met and really committed to respecting and working along the ruling, no matter how it goes. I think there is always a saying that leadership is cause and every other thing is effect. So basically, I think it's quite laudable and it sends a lot of good message out to the public, especially the political parties and their followers. You remember most of these atrocities and street protests started when leadership really decided not to accept the outcome of the declaration given by the EC, and people went to the streets. And so it appears political parties really have a lot to do in terms of leadership, in terms of directing the action, the inaction, and the behaviors of their followers. So it's quite laudable. It tends, and also the proceedings have been shown live, and a lot of citizens, the public, followed the court trial, the engagements between the courts. There have been arguments for, there have been arguments against in most of the cases, in most of the issues that came before the court. And citizens have also formed their own opinions and judgments on how the case is likely to come out, or the outcome of the case. So we have all been part of the process. Nobody has been kept in the dark. So I think depending on the Supreme Court is likely to assist the public to really come into terms and acceptance of the outcome of this ruling, considering how it has given basis, the foundations and justification for the various rulings that it has really churned out in the course of the trial. I think that the Supreme Court is in a better position, and they have given an indication that they will assist the public to come into terms with the outcome of the ruling.
All right, well, Mr. Osei-Kuffour, in wrapping up this conversation, where would you be? Judgment is tomorrow. I guess everybody will be watching. And where would you be monitoring tomorrow's judgment?
Certainly, I'll be in the office. It's going to be another monumental day for Ghana as a country. Some countries in Malawi, the Supreme Court overturned its elections. We've had it in Kenya before. Ghana, first attempt, basically, we maintain the status quo. So it's either going to be a second round or we uphold the declaration by the EC. We are all quite in expectant mood, and tomorrow we'll be in the office certainly, and we will look forward to the outcome of the ruling, and we all will accept and then move with it and make sure that Ghana really continue to take its position in the global society as the big one of democracy in Africa.
Well, I would love to speak to you again tomorrow when we're counting down and after judgment, because I'd love you to answer the question of would we see a lot more election petitions in the future? And that would only be after judgment has been delivered. We'll see how it goes tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Mama B. I look forward to that.
All right. Mr. Paul Osei-Kuffour is Senior Programs Manager with the CDD Ghana. And on this issue of the election petition 2020. What are you expecting? Okay, that's not the question. Where would you be following the matter at the Supreme Court? I can't ask you what you're expecting. No, it's only the Supreme Court that can come up with a judgment tomorrow. So we will have a beautiful conversation tomorrow. We'll be looking forward to our countdown will start from 8 a.m. here on the AM show. We'll have conversations looking back at where this whole case started from. And then, of course, we will go live to the Supreme Court, hear the judgment, and return and have some more conversations on the back of that. So look forward to our election petition update tomorrow, the verdict here on the AM show. We've got a sustainable renewable energy conversation that we'll be having with ASAP shortly. Stay with us. We're also keeping an eye at the audit service. Will Mr. Daniel Domalovo show up to work today or not? Stay with us.